Welcome back again to Apache Kafka series. In the previous video, we have looked into the consumer client, the in and outs, or the theory part of the consumer client, how it works, what it expects in terms of properties, or what does some of the properties mean. In this video, we are going to continue with coding part of the consumer client with Spring Boot and Spring Kafka. So let's get started. I have shared my screen and I created a template. Actually, it's just a project template. In this project template, as you can see in my POM file, the dependencies in the consumer are the same with the producer client that we have written before. So we don't have to waste too much of time here. I have also just copied and pasted the same dependencies here. And also in my application YAML, instead of in the previous video I have showed you how we set all this. In this video I have just copied some of those properties from there and then paste them here. The only addition to that, I have like another one here, Kafka series, which is our consumer group. We will just talk about it in a few minutes later. Then also the concurrency part of the Kafka, the consumer, but we'll get into that. Then here I also have my application. As I said, it is Spring Boot project, so there is not much to it. And next, I think we should then start coding. So let's create a package and then call that package, okay, new, then package, and let's call that package like com.bello mhd.kafka. I think yes, Kafka will be good. Then config. This is our config package. In this package we are going to have another class, and that class will call it like the Kafka consumer config, Kafka consumer config, Kafka consumer config. And in this Kafka consumer config, we are going to have our configurations. Like one of the things we will do first is to make it at configuration, or add the annotation at configuration, the Spring annotation. Then next we are going to have some properties. What's the properties? For example, we will have properties, our bootstrap server, and in this properties we will, as you can see, I have put the properties in the YAML file before. Here is my YAML, and I have the bootstrap server here. So we are going to take it using the value annotation from the Spring, same thing. Then we put Spring Kafka and then bootstrap server, bootstrap servers. Then next we are also going to create another property. This property will be our consumer group property. So the reason I put it here, so that maybe you can put it in the library, in the YAML file, so that when you put it in the YAML file, you can change it or you can override it in your production, or depending on the environment that you are using. But now we have consumer group, and also same, we are going to use the Spring value annotation, then specify it, Spring Kafka message, and then the message consumer, then group. So now we have this ready. Also next we are going to have this is actually also, is not mandatory to put it here. It is we can take it as integer. That is the consumer concurrency. With consumer concurrency, it means like how many threads do you want the consumer to run at a time. And in this case we are saying consumer concurrency, for example. Then also I would like to have it in the YAML file, so I will use the value annotation to take it from there or to get it from there, consumer, then concurrency, and then in the case of concurrency, I will give a default value of 1. Then next we are going to create some config properties in this file. Now we will have again this is the same map format that we use with our previous producer. When we write the producer part, we have a value deserializer class, and with this then we now create the map again, new hash map. Yes, so now next we are going to also put the properties, like one of the property we are going to put our bootstrap server. Then we have the bootstrap server up there that we have put it. Then next we are also going to add our group ID properties. Now next is group ID. There are the other configurations, but we look for consumer config. Yes, from consumer config we have this. Then we already have our consumer group up there that we have configured. This also should be from the consumer config, not from the producer config. Then so that it should be unique, should be same, sorry. Then we also have key deserializer, not serializer. In the producer we use key serializer. Then here we are going to use key deserializer, also from consumer config, key deserializer config, string key deserializer class. Then next we are also going to give the values deserializer, and here we have the value deserializer config. Also we already provide the value deserializer config, so there is no problem here. We are going to take it as the method parameter. Then we are also going to have a property, and then that will be like partition assignment strategy. What kind of strategy that we want Kafka to use to assign partitions. Assignment strategy config, and we have the round robin. I'm going to use round robin here. I'm going to use this from Kafka also, but this is for consumer. Then from the consumer I have this class. I'm going to give the name of the class in this case, not the class itself. So now we are done with the properties config, and with this we can return the properties. Let us create also our consumer factory method, and with this consumer factory method in the same class, actually we are going to create it here also as private, and then consumer factory. Here is where we are going to give the serializers that the consumer will use to deserialize both the key and the value. So we have also, we are taking key, and as we know in the previous producer that we have written, we are sending a message view object. We are going to use the same object that we sent here, and let's go and create this object for now. Let's have another package, consumer, and now from this package we will have our message view, and let's create the message view there, a class. Then in this class we may implement serializable if okay. Then we can also import add the serial ID, and we can have we can just make it a data because we already have Lombok property, and then we are not going to import anything else. Then next we are going to have just two properties actually that we are sending previously. That is the ID and then the message, a string message in this class. Okay, these are what we are going to have. Then let's go back here. We have this, and it will get the view. Then now in our consumer factory, we are going to give deserializers, such as key deserializer and value deserializer. So let's have some, and let's set our JSON deserializer here. We are going to use it. It will get a string, and then here we are going to give the class that it will deserialize, and then we are also give additional property here. It's like here the false here is like use headers if present with the JSON. One of the thing here is that if you do not set this to false, then you may have like a issue with the packages. For example, when you send a video, then the deserializer will try to look the video from the package that it is being serialized with. The package that was used to send the object, it will try to look for that, and you may not, if you put this view in a different package, in a different project, or let's say you are using a jar from different project, then you may be getting a class not found exception. So that is why here we are setting this to false, that it shouldn't use the headers. And then next, let's continue with the coding part. And in this case, okay, I think what is the error here? We have our JSON deserializer. Oh, okay, sorry, it takes only a message, not key and value. So we are setting this to false. Then next we are also going to set another property like a deserializer. Then we said add trusted packages, or all packages that will be sent will be deserialized are trusted, but you can specifically give a package here if you want. Then also let's have our the string deserializer, or the valued the key deserializer, and here we give string deserializer. Okay, string deserializer. Then we will return our Kafka consumer factory. That is an implementation of the default Kafka consumer factory class, so we are going to use it. And here we are going to give the config. In our config, we give consumer group, and we also give a class. So in this case, we are also going to give a JSON deserializer class. JSON deserializer class. So this is what we are going to give. And next, we are also going to give the string deserializer we created above. This is in the configuration, but we also create the string deserializer here. That is the key deserializer. And then we also have the value deserializer. The only thing I will also do here, instead of giving direct value deserializer, there is another error handling deserializer here that we can also give, which if there is error, then it will call our error handler. So let's now let's just have this as new consumer. We are going to create a class, and we'll call it consumer error handling deserializer, for example. Error handling deserializer. Now we are almost done with this consumer factory config. For now, we are going to stop here. We will continue in the next video. I hope this will also benefit someone out there. So see you in the next video.